Hello, Stephanie. How are you?
Good. I made it barely.
You raced home?
Actually, in Buckley, I have a 7 o'clock meeting, and so I came to the location where my 7 o'clock meeting is. So,
You are a busy woman.
but
Yeah, I was teaching an art class and I had to race home. Just a private one-on-one with a student, the best kind.
I see
Oh, I just dropped my berries.
the Dave's. Is it the little store? What is the name of it? Is Dave's
Poor Dave.
Market? Yeah. Did you do the windows over there?
Yep. Yep, I just been doing their windows. She asked me if I did windows. I'm like, sure. And then I'm like Googling how to paint windows.
I've done that before. Said yes, and then had to figure it out.
I'm sure I know how to do this. I can figure this out.
They look good. Nice.
She hasn't paid me yet, but
Well, poor
I think
Dave.
they're struggling. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's too bad. I haven't been in there yet. I need to go in there.
Great for specialty items if you want to spend a bunch of money. It's just too pricey for, I think, Bonney Lake.
Hmm. We'll have to go give some support to the local business.
They're
I like
so
it.
great. Yeah, family owned and they have such cool stuff in there, stuff that you just can't find anywhere else. Where is everybody? Isn't it close? Um,
Thanks for sending out the survey, David. See there? We're just kind of placeholding.
I'm here. I'm just trying to eat a burger for dinner.
Okay,
Didn't want
well,
to be going rah 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 rah. We just need two more people. One more.
hi, Molly.
Hi guys.
so we have 11 commissioners now. Louise, you made it.
Hi.
Nice to meet you. I wish we could do this in person, but
No, when is that going to be an option for us?
Is my audio coming in okay?
yeah, we can hear you. Yep. All right, we're waiting for Debbie. Is Debbie around? Hi, Caitlin.
Debbie said you can start the meeting without her. She'll just get all the notes off of the recording.
Okay.
So since we have 6, that's a quorum. So Glory, get started before somebody has to jump out for some reason.
All right. Okay. It is 6:02 and we're starting our meeting. Roll call. Glory Cancro is here. Stephanie French.
Here.
Molly Sora Williams.
Here.
Lori Sully. Melissa Deckman.
Here.
Josh Gonzalez. Rodrigo Yanez, Caitlin Wolford,
Here.
Jennifer Turner.
Here.
Oh, there you were. Louise Albright.
Also here.
See you. And Melissa Montemerit, like is absent. I did hear from Lori that she might be here late, but I did not hear from anyone else. So I'm sorry I didn't call the meeting to order. Here I go. I'm going to figure this out. Moving on to the approval of the minutes. Would anybody like to make a motion to approve the minutes?
I will motion to approve the meeting minutes from last month.
Anyone second that?
I'll second that.
All right, I thought I lost you guys for a second. What did we just? I
Oh,
think
we're
I
just
exited
approving
meeting.
the meeting minutes.
Okay.
Nothing.
Could I get a clarification of what that means?
Yeah, so with your packet, your Arts Commission packet, you received the call to order, the roll call, and then some of our everything we talked about from last month's meeting. So it's basically just looking over it, making sure that you were quoted correctly, or because usually we have somebody just taking notes, and so sometimes things don't get written down correctly, and if there's anything that needs to be added or name changes that need, anything like that. So does that help?
Yeah, thank you.
All right, so meeting minutes have been approved for March 23rd. Move on to correspondence. David, do you have anything to report?
I have not received any correspondence from anyone other than the commissioners.
Okay. I can mention that I've been in touch with Julie Kissick. She runs the Lake Taps Living magazine and the Bonney Lake Neighbors. And she did an article about me and then like my art, but then also about the Arts Commission and how people can volunteer, just some information about how the Arts Commission works and what we do, and that'll be coming out, I think, next month. So it only goes to specific neighborhoods. It's a free publication. It's basically an ad publication. And I think this one will only be going to like Bonney Lake Neighbors, which is primarily the Sky Island Drive area. But hopefully it'll, help get us some more exposure and more citizen involvement, and so that was pretty cool. Do we have any citizen comments? No citizens. All right. Flying through. Old and continuing business. We have work plan. I think, Stephanie, would you like to take that?
Well, I have created a draft of the work plan, and it is in a shareable drive, but it isn't in the city's shareable drive. So I shared that link with you and David and Debbie as well, and so I'm not sure how to get that link to everybody, but that's going to be the easiest way to look at the work plan. Is that something you want to review, or do you want to just direct people to it and have everybody look at it on their own and make comments, or how do we handle that?
I know that's something that we just really needed to put in place. I'm happy to send that out as an email for people to look at on their own, unless there's someone in the meeting that wants to see it during the meeting. Is there a reason why you couldn't send that out as an email?
I was just trying to follow protocol, so I sent that to Debbie to distribute or to include in the packet or something, and I probably just missed the deadline. So
Okay.
Well, I've created, it's an Excel spreadsheet, and each of the main things that we've decided, or at least proposed, or maybe done in the past, have made it on the work plan, including the artist's gallery, the duck block installation, the outdoor display plaques, the utility box vinyl wrap art at Tunes at Tats, Beautify Bonney Lake, the Medal of Arts Award, Artober Artist Reception, and the Gingerbread House Contest. Each one has its own section, and under each section there are, this all came out of my head. Actually, we're looking at this, David, right here. I don't know if you guys can see any of that, but what we're going to do is kind of refine these lists. Each task or each project has a list of tasks associated with it, and a status and a designated commissioner who's responsible for moving that project forward. And then on the over here is in this area is a timeline, and you can see this is kind of grayed in a pattern here. And what that does is it shows like when in the year that particular item needs to be an item of focus. And so like for the duck flock installation, as an example, we're in the April meeting right now, so we probably need to discuss whichever items are in the April column on the work plan, and in order to keep that moving forward, or table the discussion for a later time. That would be up to the individual commissioner who's responsible for that project. So this is just a result of my own mental energy. And so what I want to encourage everybody to do is fill out the survey that David sent out this afternoon. Let us know if there are any projects that particularly excite or inspire you. It doesn't have to be something we've done in the past. It can be something totally new. And let's start, brainstorming some ways to shape this work plan into something that represents the commission as it stands right now. That makes sense.
Absolutely. Thank you, Stephanie. Yeah, I talked with Louise a little bit. Welcome. I want to give you a chance at the end of the meeting to introduce yourself. I know we just jumped right in, but yeah, that we are in kind of a transition. There's a lot of new projects happening and a lot of new commissioners. So I think I'll go ahead and send out a reminder email of kind of what we're talking about today, that everybody check their email, make sure they can get into their email, check their email, and fill out the survey, as well as just read over the work plan that you appreciate you putting that together, Stephanie, because I know a lot of commissioners aren't necessarily designated to a certain project, and this could give people a chance to decide what project they might want to partner with. If they don't want to lead it, at least partner. There's a lot of options on ways to be involved. But if there's anything in there that, I know it's a draft at this point, and everybody needs to take a look at it and make sure things are.
I'm going to include the link to that in the chat, so you can open that, copy that link, and then you can look at it later. It should be in a location where you can access it without any special permissions if I set it up right. So
Okay.
I'll drop that in now.
Thank you so much.
That's a link to a Google Sheet.
Is the annual calendar events on that as well, or is that separate?
That is, I don't know if that's going to hurt a link. I don't think that worked.
I tried pasting it. It didn't exactly work.
No, it didn't paste it over the link. I'm going to copy the link, pasted it as text. So that should work. So that's the work plan. The calendar of events, I think I can do the same. That is just a flyer that was created, and so that just resides on the hard drive.
Did anybody have a comment or a question about the work plan? I was looking at the calendar of events that you wrote up, Stephanie. I thought that would be really great to print and have around the city for people to kind of get a year in a glance and see, oh, wow, here's what the Arts Commission's doing. Here's what we can expect. And a great way to just put ourselves out there. So
That was the thing that David was holding up there a second ago. That one is going to be tricky. The design doesn't print real well unless it's on a real high quality print. But the way that's designed is the front side of it is just a calendar of the year. And the only thing is significant about it is that the dates of the Arts Commission meetings are circled. And then on the back side of it is or the front side, depending on, is the list of all of the events. And so.
very cool. That can be shared on social media as well without having to pay for printing.
Yes.
Is that a file that you shared that file with me? So I'll chat with David about seeing if we have a budget to print some. We don't necessarily have to do that in the meeting. I know, Stephanie, you have to leave right at 7, so I think we'll kind of move through quickly if we can. So moving on to Summer Tunes at TAP's booth. We chatted about this briefly, but I know we're still looking at evaluating if this is something that people want to continue. If they do, like how many people want to sign up for that. There are, briefly, there's, the last few years we've been having a art booth at the Tunes at Taps. There's a kind of a small farmer's market along with music. I know, Louise, you're new to the area. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's similar to like Puyallup and other cities are doing, but some sort of art projects. So we have the art projects figured out for the summer, so that's easy. We'll be continuing to paint the duck cutouts that we have in our storage unit or storage area. So that will involve some preparation. The paint needs to be kind of like figured out, and because last year we did like take little kits that people could take back to their seats so that we could avoid having a recording is on. One here, yeah. So that's a quick. Is that me that's echoing?
That's Debbie.
Oh, it's Debbie.
David, are you running 6-week or 8-week program this year?
We are starting July 6th, ending August 31st.
All righty.
So that's a 9-week Wednesday night.
Is there anybody, I know, Caitlin, you said you were interested in helping out a couple times this summer.
Yeah, that works really well for me because I have a lot more time in the summer, so that works. Yeah.
Molly, I think you mentioned that you were interested.
I'm a little reluctant. Well, I mean, I want to help out with it and stuff, but I know that like last year I was pretty much there every single week, and my husband had come and helped me a lot of the weeks and stuff. So it is really hard when you're by yourself. I know that Stephanie joined me a couple times, and I think Caitlin was there helping me, but it tends to get a little bit hard when you're there by yourself. And then if it's raining and we're painting, it becomes even more difficult to try to get everybody in your little tent and try to get them to paint. So those are my concerns with it and stuff.
I was there, I think, all but like 2 times last summer or so, and I think if we just had like a couple more people like running the booth, it would be better because I think Molly and I just did it a couple times with your husband, and it like was still kind of stressful because then we just had like a bunch of people coming and we got really overwhelmed really quick. But when there were more commissioners there, it went a lot smoother. And I think Glory mentioned like a couple meetings ago, just having like periodic ones rather than every single week. We'd do like every other week or so.
Yeah, thank you, Caitlin. I think if we don't have at least 3 volunteers, it's just not worth it because it's exhausting for each volunteer to try to do so much. So, because it's, involves getting all the supplies, tearing, setting it all up, tearing it all down, taking all the stuff home, then taking it back to the storage space. It's a lot of work. So, if anybody is interested in helping out with that, I can give you more information about it.
David, do we have like a toll of like how many people showed up to certain bands? Because maybe we could make it that we're there during those certain bands where there's a bigger audience and stuff so that we don't think our times, you know, we're having more help there. And
So traditionally in the past, I've booked like a really big band like Heart by Heart, and then a lesser known band like the Gothard Sisters, to kind of have it purposely go up and down to try to have a smaller band follow a big band. That way we can bring the people from the big band hopefully to the smaller band so they get a little bit more people following them and to try to diversify people in what they're listening to. But this year we are working on the Moriarty property, and we've lost between 80 to 100 parking spots depending on how tight you get cars parked in there. So I'm only booking like mid-level bands the whole summer. So it should be a little bit more consistent, but I typically don't keep track of this band brought in 2,500 and that band only brought in 500. But it should be a lot more even keel this summer just because I want to try to keep parking as level as possible.
okay.
One of the things we've done in the past, David, is you gave us a list. I created the list with the band, and we had people sign up. If we didn't have 3 commissioners for that particular date, because my calendar is really full this year again too, then maybe those are dates that we don't use. You see what I'm saying? So if we have this, because you're telling me it's a 9-week, you're going all the way to August 31, right up to that deadline of September, that we have all of your performances with all of those dates between ourselves and see where people can plug in and mark on their calendar. If it becomes where we can't have at least 3 people there, then maybe that's one of the events we don't do. That's just a suggestion.
Yeah, absolutely. That's definitely where we're thinking. And meeting in person, like you can hand around a piece of paper, but like I've just had I haven't had good luck with emailing. I'm just not getting, when people are there in person, we're able to really kind of like, oh yeah, I should do this, and people are able to like sign up. But when it's over email, I'm just not getting a lot of feedback. So maybe we can do virtual sign up. I don't know if it's going to be possible for people without the calendar in front of them, but it is every Wednesday. Is that what you said? Every Wednesday in the summer. What's that?
I'm sorry, you went in and out for me, so I'm not quite sure what you said.
Oh, just if there was some way that we could do that now in the meeting versus waiting for later over email. I just haven't been getting a good response from people over email. So
I did look into a digital volunteer management. I think I'm losing track of the things that I did this last month, but whether I thought about it or actually did it. I know I sent it to you to look at, Glory, and I think I asked David if the city had some sort of a volunteer management system that it used, and whether or not we could utilize something like that. It's going to ask the organization and some organization info. It wants to actually know who you are. You have to be a nonprofit or government or something like that to be able to utilize the service. And it's free. but it has to be set up, and then any group that works with the city could use it as a volunteer management tool. You can send it out and recruit people to sign up. They can be member signups or non-member signups, and so we can share it with community members and recruit volunteers from the community as well. It looked like a pretty neat tool and pretty easy to use. Um, if it's something you guys want to investigate, then we can look at it some more.
See David shaking his head. So that's something we don't have already. Yeah, I'm old school, paper and pencil. So yeah, anything that can help make things more streamlined.
I mean, I could see that really being of benefit to you, David, and the other things that you do as well. So,
Oh, there's a lot of things that I need software for that I'm pushing uphill in a river with a leaky canoe and no paddle.
well, free, I mean, that sounds pretty great to me.
So I totally appreciate that and understand that. Unfortunately, we have an IT person who is very reluctant and very conservative on allowing much of anything that hasn't been through a pretty strenuous process to make sure it's vetted.
All right, well, I'm willing to do that, or at least send it and ask him to give his approval or not.
Yeah, go ahead and send it to me, and I'll see if he will let us use it.
Okay.
David, do you have all your bands booked? No? When do you expect to have them all booked? Mid-May, end of May?
Well, I'm waiting for some band managers to get back.
I had a question about that.
I'm waiting for one in particular because as soon as one picks one of the 3 dates I have left, I've got a couple of other bands that are waiting to take the other 2 dates. So the dominoes are ready to fall into place as soon as one band gets back to me, and they've got till tomorrow night to get back to me, or I'm going on and they get the leftovers.
So you expect to have it done before our May meeting, maybe?
Yes, because I will have to have all of the purchase order request put in before the end of May, because they have to do the check run for the bands in July in June, and I am out of town starting June 15th until July 3rd.
Sounds good.
Is the adding bands to this something that you guys are pretty married to being music related, or is it something that can be open to like slam poetry or spoken word poetry, just to add that extra layer of art within the community, just to have it like open up to, here's a few set people that are going to be doing this. We're opening it up to the public if anyone wants to come through and write up their own thing or perform something. Is that something that you guys have thought about at all?
The Wednesdays are considered tunes at Taps, so it probably wouldn't work on a Wednesday. When we had Bonney Lake Days going, it might be able to fit into there, but it's a little worrisome at times because a lot of poetry and that might not necessarily be pre-done, so we know what to expect. And so then we have to, I'm not against it, but there's always that concern of, like, if a band starts to go off the rails and is doing inappropriate stuff, then we can basically pull the plug. And just to have anybody show up off the street to have an open mic night at a concert that could have 1,500 people there, I'd hate for the worst case scenario to come out and kids are not listening to stuff that we should have them listen to.
I appreciate you bringing that up, Louise, because that is something that I really enjoy as part of community, but it just isn't something that I've seen a platform here in Bonney Lake, because Tunes at Taps is just a totally different vibe. Yeah, it's more like drink beer and party and and listen to music, but like the more like art house type slam poetry. We used to have a venue down in Sumner, the Urban Timber, that actually held open mics, and that was a really great resource for, up and coming people to just really have a safe and welcoming platform to explore, to experiment, and but yeah, Tunes of Taps is not the place for that so much. But I would love, we need it in this, we need it. Like, we need a place like that is a little bit more like coffee shop type of like vibe. So, as far as Tunes at Taps booth, I just, could we maybe want to write your name in the chat if you are interested in possibly signing up for some of this, or do people feel like they need to see the bands first, or does that really matter? Since it sounds like from David, we're going to be having more of a consistent.
I was wondering if it's possible, to have, if we're going to have more. I feel like I was there most weeks last summer. And I know Molly took the brunt of the setup and tear down, and that's kind of a big deal, and that's a lot for one person to take on. But I wonder if and this is probably a question for you, David, if we can have an additional square of space, because that booth is very small. And last year, there were COVID concerns, and that could be the case again this summer at public events. And, to have 3 or 4 commissioners around one, 6-foot table under one canopy is just pretty tight. So. Can we have another square?
Yeah, and one thing to remember is that anybody is welcome to volunteer at this. I know we've had a lot of partners, friends, citizen volunteers who've jumped in and helped. So that's something to think of. But if you know of people that are interested, thank you, David, for putting that in the chat.
I think most of those dates oh, sorry.
Caitlin, if you know any other art students or high school students that need some of their senior hours, you can spread the word too. And then I also wanted to mention to Luis that I think the Post at Dehale does open mic nights sometimes. So you might want to check out that venue for spoken word.
That's awesome. Thank you.
In terms of space, Stephanie, in the past, this last summer I could not because I have a lot of family things that were happening as I retired. But in the past, we also have pushed backwards. And by pushing backwards, sometimes I would bring my extra tent. But if it was a beautiful day, we didn't need it. And going backwards from our square really worked well because we could utilize all that back placement and we're away from the cars and all that kind of stuff. So, just a thought.
I think the only time that wouldn't work is because...
The other side, too, is we've tried to give the Arts Commission an end spot so you can kind of fall out the end of it. And then that way, so officially you only have one spot, but there's plenty of room to go out to the side as far as you need to, past that 10 feet.
1 or 2
I was
times.
gonna say.
Oh, sorry. Molly and I were put kind of by the food. We had to move our spot for some reason last summer, and that was the only instance that we really couldn't move backward because there were a bunch of trailers behind us, and we were kind of boxed in. That was probably one of the more stressful ones, but yeah.
Yeah, having started this a long time ago with Susie and then not to have done it last summer, my only summer I didn't participate because of COVID. When we did move to the corner, David, that solved all of our problems because we could just stretch out into the field. And I did a lot of projects where we just took up more than one square because we could move out that direction. So if that isn't an option still for our placement, I think it's a really good one.
I agree. I really personally like the corner, David, as you stare from the stage all the way to the back the far right corner, because you tend to leave that as an open walkway, and it was perfect for people coming back to pick something up, especially the kid projects that I have done in the past for the community kids. It just was nice because we had plenty of room to spread out our stuff.
I
You
think
know, we
most
don't
of
have Arts Commission meetings those 2 months. I wonder if it would make sense to make those 2 Wednesdays, um, put those on the calendar for sure as, nights to serve out there. Because that fourth Wednesday is probably already on everybody's radar to, to commit to this time anyway, so.
That was what I was about to ask. Since he stretched it out through August 24th this year, that's 2 of them, and we usually do meet out at site in July.
Well, it'll go August 31st. I just don't have the band for that day yet.
Right, I know. I wrote that down. I've got my list going. Thank you.
Yeah,
That
I
brings up
loved doing that in the past.
actually having an Arts Commission meeting at Tunes at Taps. That won't work if David's running the stage, though, will it? I know
We
we've
would
chatted about that.
Traditionally,
We would probably
Sorry?
have to do it a little bit earlier, like 5:30, and really have a very compact meeting in order to be able to make sure we get everything done, because the band will start at 6:30. So if we can try to limit it to anything that's just high priority for that meeting, then we could do it, keeping in mind we want to try to keep it to 30 minutes or less.
Right.
yeah, we've done that in the past, just not last year.
Yeah, we
And
had
it worked
short
really
ones
well.
on purpose so that we could do what we needed to do.
Perfect.
But it does have to be advertised. So remember that.
Is that something Debbie would do then? Is make sure that that's put on there that we will be meeting at a different location?
Correct.
All right. Problem solved. Solutions. I like it. If anybody else has any more comments, we can move on, and I'll start a group email of a few people that are interested in, and we'll see if we can get enough people to sign up for the summer. And
I have a sick family member. My stepdad is critically ill, and
I'm so sorry.
he's thank you. He's been battling pancreatic cancer for the last year, so it's not unexpected, but because of the timing of things as they are right now, it's very possible that I won't be around in the summer as much as I might like to be. So we'll have to I wish I could commit to something, but right now it's a little bit up in the air. So I'll go spend some time with my mom when he passes. So.
totally understand. Yeah, everybody gives what they can, and you're doing so much, helping us get organized here. That's all the behind the scenes stuff.
even if you just oh, sorry.
I personally, I cannot until I see my summer band commitments. I know what July is for us, and I know what weekend we'll be in Vancouver, BC with students. But some of these other dates in August is possible. So I'm not putting myself in the chat yet. I'm one of those where I need to check a couple of calendars before I do that. So I would prefer that those kinds of emails, it goes out to everybody as an all call and then goes from there.
Okay, yeah, good suggestion.
Even if you want to just come by and say hi for 5 minutes or something at the Tunes and Taps, if that's all you can do, that's it's good to just see your face better than just over Zoom. So yeah.
Definitely. Well, thank you, everybody. I think we'll move on to D, utility box design and cost. Commissioner Gonzalez had typed up a really great proposal. I don't know if everybody's had a chance to see that, but is there any comments on that?
I did see
Did he?
the,
I thought
sorry,
he sent some pricing over.
Yeah, the pricing was listed on in the proposal.
I would like to let the group know of the interest of the historical societies in doing the main box that we talked about earlier as part of their history thing. And one of the really cool things about that, them being a 501c, they can go after the grants and after the monies and take care of all costs and everything with that, and still maintain for the community the history of the Natchez Trail, because that is the Natchez Trail. So that's one of the things they talked about, and they have an interest in partnershiping on that box.
Yeah, I know last month we talked about having it be a student contest, and that could be something that a student could create art, maybe in partnership with the Historical Society. So that's something that could possibly work together.
he created a call for sponsors, I think. I don't think he sent it to everyone. I think he just sent it to the few people who at the last meeting expressed an interest in being a part of that like subgroup. And I had been in touch with him because I spoke with the president of the Bonney Lake Chamber of Commerce about what kind of business sponsorships we could solicit. You know, I got some good information from him. And it looked to me like the way he was approaching it was to go ahead and go after all 6 boxes, which means, you know, it could be a combination of artists and schools and age groups even that would have the opportunity to contribute to that. So maybe there's an opportunity for the Historical Society to sponsor a box, you know, given that format that he's laid out, and then, you know, there's 5 other boxes still available. But
Yeah, I'm not sure what the timeline is on that, and it looked like something that we were hoping to get done this summer, depending on how many sponsors we have. So I know that the Natchez Trail has a lot of history with indigenous people groups, the Puyallup and the Yakima and the Duwamish. So I actually got a hold of the Puyallup tribe to see if they had artists that were interested in possibly doing some indigenous art. But because I know the Historical Society doesn't necessarily work with the tribes, I'm not sure.
Yes, they do, Glory.
Oh,
They actually do some and that's part of it. That's what I'm saying. That's part of it. They also do that and have done some things with them. And that came out in the meeting.
That's
to make
fantastic.
sure it is accurate to our history of the area.
Right. Yeah, that's so important.
Hits the community, or however that gets communicated to potential sponsors, that would be the opportunity then for the Historical Society to choose to be a sponsor and then also choose to submit art as well. And so, you know, maybe that's a little bit of maybe it would, you know, not choose to forego the commission, right, the payment, but that's one way I could see that working out. So when that, and I don't know about the timing of that, Josh isn't here to be able to speak to what he's thinking right now, but, you know, if that goes out next month, you know, we'll all get a copy of that, right, as that goes public, and then, you know, by all means share that with the Historical Society. And
yeah, that would be really
they've so for those who don't know, if the marker trails and things like that, they've paired with the city also, and in terms of monies and what I call partnership in making sure that the finances are done. And they have an ability to make some things happen that we can't, being as a commission per se of the city. And so the one they're mainly interested in, they even said, oh, well, maybe there's something to be done with all 6. But the mainly interested in is the original one that we had started 4 years ago with making sure it is by the city hall, the main one. I always forget the name of that road, David. You know what I'm on, the one with the lights that we added for holiday. And that box is sitting right there on the original trail. Locust does too, but that one is a little more visual to that area right there as you come off of 410.
Yeah.
Is the historic center, or not the historic center, but the historic group, is that part of like a government? Are they funded by the government or a Bonnie Lakes group, or are they a
The,
separate thing?
the Greater Bonney Lake Historical Society is part of our city stuff too, but
Okay.
they are their own.
I don't know how you'd be able to pitch this, but if going down the route of having whatever art they end up picking be be provided by Auburn School, not Auburn. I'm sorry, I'm from the Auburn area, so I'm still getting used to switching over to Bonney Lake. But the Bonney Lake school system, whoever they end up picking, I don't know how you'd be able to pitch it, but maybe even adding like the scholarship element to it, like a very small scholarship of your art will get put up in your city, and here's also a small scholarship to go with it. Just
We
as
already
like,
talked about it as a prize, not scholarship, prize.
yeah,
And so that
yeah,
was already a piece of the puzzle.
gotcha.
Yeah, there's definitely, partnering. So the Arts Commission partners with the Historical Society on a lot, and it's really important part of telling the story and telling the history of the area. So we always look for ways to try to partner with the Historical Society because we don't have much in the city that besides the markers that the Historical Society has done. And anyway, we can get more visual representation of the history, I think is wonderful. I know, Stephanie, you need to leave soon. So I want to make sure we get a chance for you to talk about the display plaques. But so there is a lot that we can talk about, Louise, and if you have more questions about how we were going to pay the artists and what we were going to pay, like I'll make sure I email you the the proposal that Gonzalez had put together regarding the utility box designs. And
If you had
I
time
don't know if
after the
anybody's
meeting,
noticed, but sorry, what's that?
if you had time after the meeting, could I possibly bombard you with a bunch of questions? Or
Unfortunately,
would that be
because
better
we're a
over email?
city meeting and it's recorded, they won't allow us to meet afterwards to chit chat, which is we'll just have to do that over the phone. So
Gotcha. Okay,
yeah.
thank you.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm sorry.
I was just gonna move on. Yeah.
Yeah, so we have, I think, so I am a little bit rough in terms of using the technology. The educators have definitely more skills than I do, but I'm going to see if I can't share with you how do I share what I want to share.
You
Yeah.
didn't.
So this is the artwork. It really is, it's not intended to be a new logo. It is only intended to be a sign that's created for the purpose of identifying the Arts Commission as a sponsor or owner of the art that's in the community. And so the main change between this and the logo is that the birds, I just basically added in the Bonney Lake City logo the way that it was originally designed. In the original Arts Commission logo, all of the birds actually were on the outside of the palette. There was one over here, and then they were kind of over in this area. And so they're just back inside of there. So this is going to be a piece of cut metal. These letters that have a piece on the inside, they're going to have a little piece of metal that attaches to make sure that those inside parts remain, because when that gets cut out, obviously it's just going to be a big circle. So that's what the artwork looks like. I actually have the vendor re-quoting the price on it, because they have a new piece of equipment that's going to actually do a better job. And so they're going to quote 12-inch tall. So a 12-inch tall by, it's probably going to be roughly 18 to 20 inches wide. And then two at that size, and then two that are a little bit bigger, like 18 inches tall by 28 or so inches wide. So we have a little bit of some options, I guess, depending on where they're going to be used.
And are they going to be cut as a pallet?
Yes, it'll be cut in the shape of that pallet. Yeah,
Okay.
with the words and the ducks and the cut out from that. So
Oh, looks good. Looks good.
Going to be fantastic. Yeah, it's something that's really necessary because we've had the duck flocks displayed without anything. We had a little banner for a while, but it didn't look as classy as I think we wanted it. So I think we were hoping to vote on approving that, paying for.
I think it was four. I wonder if we can, is it possible to approve like that price point? Because if we shrink them down a little bit, and like it would give us a little bit of wiggle room if we could approve a price point, because then if there's enough, to make one smaller, to add one smaller, then we might get more signs for the same money, as opposed to just approving a certain number of plaques.
Okay.
I don't know.
What is the price that we'll be approving?
I think that what was on the previous minutes, right before somebody had to jump out of the meeting, so. All right, where is it? 362 is the amount that is quoted on the minutes from the March 23rd meeting.
And that would be for four,
It should
approximately.
cover four at a minimum, I would say. So, and then whatever isn't spent, obviously we'll just put it back in the budget.
I'm curious which company, you said that's your brother's company? Cool. Would anybody like to make a motion to approve spending 362? Is that what you said?
I think that's what it says. Yeah, I want to stick with the number that's already on record. 362.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Thank you, Caitlin. Would anybody like to second that?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Melissa. Motion has been, oh, sorry, anybody opposed? All right, motion has been approved to order and cut approximately 4 outdoor display plaques to be used all of our different outdoor displays. So awesome.
Do we need to approve the design, or is that implied?
Oh, thank you.
I think it would be implied since you've already shown everybody the design.
Okay.
Yeah, and we approved the product already, and that really is the only way that that product will work is incorporating the ducks into it. So
Okay.
pretty sure, yes, we're good. All right, yay. Do you have a timeline, any sort of timeline for that?
Well, it's my brother. All I have to say is please, and him. The last time I asked him, he's like, "Okay, well, give me an hour." So it's not going to be an hour, but
Do they need to be shipped? Are we paying for shipping cost as well?
no. I will figure out how to get them without shipping them. So
Yeah, they'll be
I
heavy.
actually work for Denver Railings as well, and so I do some travel back and forth to the facility, which is in Denver. And so on my next trip, I'll just bring them back with me. So.
I'm writing notes.
If we're
I
lucky,
just,
my brother won't charge us at all. So I just don't want to promise that. He's never charged me for anything. So, and he could. I have a beautiful arbor in my backyard that he built for me that cost him about $2,000 and he didn't charge me for it. So,
well, we'll send him a thank you note if he does that for sure. It reminds me, we'll bring it up in the next meeting, but that we also need a display plaque for the glass panel installation, but that will be a different product. So, like a kind of more of a readable product. So, was there any other comments on that? We can move on. So summer meeting dates, I guess we already covered that, talking about meeting at the park versus changing the day of the meeting. Was there anybody that wanted to say anything about that?
Do we have like a call-in option if there's people that can't go? Like if Stephanie's able to like call in, but like isn't able to like physically like be present, should we have that option? Or could they like get attendance for the meeting if like they review the notes or something like that after?
I'm not sure how we would set up Zoom down at the park. I could ask Chuck, but my guess it's going to be pretty difficult.
Okay.
thank you, Caitlin.
All right. Yeah, fantastic questions, you guys. Any new business?
I just have a question for David. David, where would I find, or maybe you could tell me, and I believe that's our North Town end where we have our other sign that I drive by often as I head to Buckley, at the industrial park that's now behind it, or, basically right up to it. Used to have those beautiful trees. Anyway, how much of that little corner do we have as a city?
The planning department might be able to tell us, but I don't think we have much more than what's there.
Okay. I was just thinking that, yes, and that's something I may ask my neighbor about in terms of beautified Bonney Lake. But every time I drive by it, when you're coming up 410, we have built that over the years and it looks very beautiful. And there's Cappy reaching with Larry's statue. I was just thinking maybe we could spruce up that other end because it could use some things, I think.
Yeah, that would be something that we can talk to the Parks Department and that to see. And I mean, honestly, it'd be a good project for BBL to, in conjunction with the Parks Department, to plant something out there to make it a little bit greener. And part of the reason they put rocks is so that it would be less maintenance out there too.
Yes, people do drive over that corner sometimes. I've seen it.
I did want to add one thing real quick. I talked to the director at the senior center, and they're really excited to host a class and have us bring the ducks in with us and teach and just guide the seniors through duck painting. Made it really clear that the ducks stay with the city and that we'll display them as part of the community project. But we set a date of June 6th. Put that in the chat at the senior center in Bonney Lake from 1 to 3. And I would love at least one or two volunteers to help me with that. They have volunteers there at the senior center, but if anybody was interested in joining me, I'll need help prepping the ducks, prepping the supplies, and I'm not really teaching a class. I'm basically just providing the supplies, giving some inspiration. Maybe I'll provide stencils or some fun things to work with so that people can create something easily and they don't have to stress about it. So,
just for clarification, is this like a volunteer class you're offering, or
yes.
is this like a program you're running? I was just curious, like.
No, we had chatted about offering. So as the duck project generally gets painted by little kids. So we were thinking, because those are the kids that ends up at Tunes at Taps, we were trying to kind of diversify and bring in more representation of the community at different ages. So providing this to the seniors in a space where, where they already are gathering. She's calling it a class. They call it an art class just because that's what they call it. I explained that I'm not, that we're with the city and that we're just volunteering. Nobody has to pay anything. It's just providing an opportunity for the seniors to be involved in the community duck project painting. So we have about 25 ducks that never got painted last year, and they got primed, and so they're just ready to go, and then those can be incorporated in with the rest of the ducks. So yeah, it's not a class. She's calling it a class because that's what they advertise it as, but it's not a class.
Well, I've seen some of their artwork of them themselves, some of those people, not just in their quilts and everything that they do, but some of them are very, very fine at their landscapes and other types of things. Very nice.
Yeah, and I wanted to mention, and I did mention to them as well that we'll be like giving special honor, definitely. Like most of the ducks that are painted along the highway, nobody's really going to get a chance to see them up close, and so if adults are spending a lot of time and effort on these, I want to make sure they get appreciated. So we'll display them in the courthouse. There'll be a lot of other ways that we can display them so people can really appreciate the fine detail and they're not driving 60 miles an hour down the highway, So, and I think it would be a neat thing to take photos of and maybe put in the mayor's blog or something like that. Just another activity. So if anybody's interested in joining me, I would love some help. Just send me a message. I lost my agenda. Why do things just disappear? Sorry.
David, can you drop the billing address for the city in the chat, please?
Well, I think that was the last thing on the agenda, but I just lost my agenda. I don't know.
New business for the good of the order, then adjournment.
All right. Is there anything else for new business?
As we're planning for summer in that, our June meeting, I will not be attending remotely from the Caribbean. So we will need to cancel the June meeting.
All right.
I think there's Wi-Fi there.
I was going to
Not on
say,
the
could you
boat.
send me some good music from there, please?
Yeah, we expect you there, David.
Right, we can cancel June.
That's all right. And anything for the good of the order?
I just have one thing. The park naming for Midtown Park, the essay contest is still going strong. Historical Society has stepped up to offer a $250 prize. So that's just been added also. So if you guys want to get the word out, the link's on the Park Commission page.
Perfect. Thank you.
Question. The stormwater pollution prevention calendars in years past, we've sometimes helped with like voting for those and such. Do we know what's going on with that this year, or we're not involved in it?
I will send an email off to Drew and ask when his time frame is for that right now.
Thanks, David.
Well, if there's any other comments, go for it. I've got a list of my to-dos. I will try to get those out promptly. Guess we will adjourn our meeting unless there's any other comments.
A motion to adjourn we need.
I knew there was something. Can I have someone motion to adjourn?
I motion to adjourn this meeting at this time.
I second that motion.
Thank you, Stephanie and Lori. So meeting is adjourned at 7:02 p.m.
You kind of should have voted on it, but I guess.
Oh, I'm sorry. I will get this figured out. All in favor of adjourning at 7:02?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion is approved to adjourn at 7:03 p.m.
Good job.
Hey, everyone, have a great night, and we'll see you in May.
Thank
Yep,
you.
have a great week, you guys. It's going to rain.
April
Thanks,
showers
Lori.
bring May flowers.
Thanks.
That's true.